Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. The Cabinet this week has cleared the Criminal Amendment Bill, which was actually known better perhaps as the anti-rape law. But there's a lot of controversy around it yet. On Monday, it is going to be going before an all-party meeting and then perhaps be tabled in Parliament on the 20th. The passage of this bill, which really got a lot of fire behind it, a lot of momentum behind it after that brutal gang rape that we saw in Delhi, it's not yet completely certain whether the bill is going to pass because a number of people have expressed concerns with some aspects of the bill. So on The Big Fight today, we are going to take a look at the bill in some detail, at least what we know of it, and we're going to try and see whether it's at all likely that the bill is going to get through. It gives me great pleasure to welcome onto the program Mr. Shantaram Naik, who's the chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personnel, Public Grievances, Law and Justice. He's a Rajya Sabha MP from the Congress Party. Mr. Naik was therefore the chairman of the standing committee that actually did the work on this particular bill. Pinky Anand, joining us here in the studio, is a national executive member of the BJP and also advocate at the Supreme Court. We have Gaurav Bhatia, who's the head of the legal cell of the Samajwadi Party. So pretty much between the three of you, you've got to figure out whether the bill is going through or not. So that's the question that we're going to come to you. Aspects of the bill and whether they are right or not. Nilanjana Roy, it's great to have you on The Big Fight, critic and columnist. Mr. B.A. Khan is a former judge at the Jammu and Kashmir High Court. Thank you for being with us. Vrinda Grover, advocate Supreme Court, who has extremely strong views, I might add, on this particular bill and the fact that it should go through and go through really fast. And Mr. T.R. Kakkar, former Commissioner of Police. Before we get into the nuances of what is happening, Mr. Naik, if I could just ask you, so the Standing Committee has sent this particular version of the bill, and are you expecting, what are you expecting to happen over the next few days at the all-party meeting now that the Cabinet has cleared it?
There is a total consensus, I can say, if I may be permitted to use the word, consensus that we should have a proper legislation, a strong legislation on rape. And to that extent, I feel all people are in favor of earlier passage of such a legislation. Having said this, now this bill, if you see, is exhaustive. It covers several aspects, including voyeurism, stalking, exhaustive definition of sexual assault or rape, whatever you may call it, this robbing of female, etc., etc. There can be a few sections here and there, few clauses for which, with respect to which there can be a debate, there can be a difference of view.
You're right, I think. There is a complete consensus that there must be a really strong anti-rape law. It's on some of those other provisions that you spoke about that I think a lot of the debate and the discussion is centered around definition of stalking, definition of voyeurism, how should that be looked at, and we'll come to that in the course of this. But Pinky, let me just come to you. Obviously, the mood of the nation is very clear. There must be a very strong anti-rape law. But is there going to be a consensus on this, or are there certain aspects of this bill that are troublesome?
I don't think the consensus seems to be coming as easily as we thought it was. I mean, in fact, the ordinance which was there probably had more consensus than the bill might have. You already have various parties voicing their opposition to certain clauses. Of course, not to the bill as a totality. Nobody is opposing the bill in principle. But there is going to be opposition to a major number and major sections, and it appears there might be extremely far-fetched situations which need to be addressed. Okay,
so the Samajwadi Party has already indicated, Gaurav, that you have a problem with the bill, or at least problems with parts of the bill. What are your problems, and why are you objecting to the bill in its present form?
As we were discussing, it is not just about bringing an anti-rape bill. You know, there are other offences against women also, and those are covered in the bill. I have not taken a look at the exact form of the bill. But principally, the problem lies with stalking and voyeurism being included as an offence. We'll have to see the language that has been used, the phraseology, because that becomes very important. But in principle, what I have been told that it becomes a non-bailable offence. It is very important that offences like stalking or voyeurism are not made to be non-bailable, because there is every possibility that they will be misused. And therefore, for a bill of this nature, it is important that deliberations are done, not token deliberations of 10 minutes as were done in the cabinet. But if it requires a marathon discussion of 10 hours for 10 days, do it. But get the right wording, get the right offences.
I don't think in this country today there is any doubt that if you want to make a law efficacious, you want to make it with remedy for somebody, it has to be non-bailable. There is an increasing security issue as far as women are concerned. And stalking and voyeurism, you know, we had this outdated law of outraging the modesty of a woman in the penal code, which everybody realized was hopelessly insufficient. So what you need to have in place is something very specific on stalking and voyeurism, which includes internet and all the IT acts to cover it. Otherwise, you make it bailable.
However, I
have a debate on that.
I want to come at some length to the possible language that we are hearing is coming around those two things, and it's a problem. Mr. Nayak, can I just ask you this question? Given, sir, that we need to get a really strong anti-rape bill, does it make sense to perhaps split it into two parts, get one bill out which at least gets a major problem sorted out, like rape, like assault, and then figure out the other parts of it to get an omnibus bill in? Has it made it more likely that it will not pass very smoothly?
People want a strong anti-rape law, and people also want that all the related aspect with respect to the offence of rape should be covered. Now, if you cover rape per se, expand the definition and leave the stalking as it is, or voyeurism, don't touch it, then people will say, you have not touched the law. You will say only you have touched the offence of rape, or you have expanded the definition of rape, but you have not covered the major aspects of rape which are now the concern of the people.